Hey guys, for those of you interested in learning what a HydroCourt looks like in the winter time when it's freezing night. Last night it was 24 degrees. This is kind of what it looks like. So as you can see this morning, court kind of looks whitish. Okay, kind of like a dry tennis court. This court is not dry at all. Actually, what has happened is it is frozen, the top layer. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you as the sun starts to hit the court. It's still okay at this time. You could actually still play on it, but it is getting close to being unplayable. But you'll see where the sun has started to hit, you will see different colors in the court. All right, and what this is the court is actually thawing on the very top layer. You can still see where the pipes from the HydroCourts run underneath. It is still frozen solid. I'll kind of keep it updated as we go along, and you'll see what happens throughout the morning as they thaw out. And this is about 30 minutes later, and you can see what's happening now is you actually have the water from the thawing is actually coming and rising to the surface. So you can actually see the water standing on the court, and at this point the courts are 100% unplayable, so you cannot play on these courts. The water on top there it makes it pretty much like mud, so if you step on the court, it will pretty much, you'll just slide right out from under your feet. So you cannot play on this type of court once it gets to this point. So now you're in a waiting process, and you have to wait until all the water off the top is gone. You can't even play on it when it has a slight haze. So out there in the distance you can see a little bit of a hazy, not just water standing. That is still unplayable. Those areas are very slick. I'll update again and show you what it looks like as we get closer to being playable. All right guys, this is about another 30-35 minutes, and as you can see, courts are still coming up. Again, with it being 24 degrees last night, it was a pretty deep freeze on the courts. We've had a lot of rain, so there's a lot of moisture in the courts. So I thought at this time would be a great time to show you one of the biggest questions we get as tennis pros is why do we roll the windscreen to the back? So as you can see on this court here, all right, the sun is not reaching the back of the court. You can see it gets within about 5 or 6 feet from the back of the court, which means all that in the back, as you can see, is still frozen. And that's because the windscreen is actually blocking the sun from doing the thawing, which means pretty much this court could be unplayable for the entire day. So what I've done is, over here, you will see that I have rolled the windscreen, okay, and now the sun is actually reaching the entire back of the court, which means you will get the thawing process, and this court will be playable at some point today. But that is why we roll the windscreens, is so that the sun reaches the back of the court and it will do the thawing process. All right, I'll show you in a little bit what we look like as we get a little bit closer to play. Okay, so what we got is we got some drying going on. This is about an hour and a half later from the previous video. In the back here, you can see where now the court is actually starting to dry. So once the whole court gets to this point, you can actually begin to play on it. Sometimes they need to be rolled. Today, they probably will be fine. This is the first freeze of the year. When you start having more freezes, court becomes very soft even after they dry, even back here in this area where it's dry. So the court remains kind of like almost like a sponge, so it has to be rolled before you can play on it. But today, probably once the water is off the top, we will be able to get right on them. But you can see we've had a lot of rain, so there is quite a bit of standing water still on the courts. Certain areas of the courts hold more moisture than others, just the way they work. But you can see that they are still very wet. So we're probably looking at about another 2 to 4 hours before these courts will be playable, and some of them may not even be playable for the whole day. But I'll show one more video at least, and we'll see if I can show you what a completed, dried out court ready for play looks like. All right guys, in the final video today, as you can see now, the courts are dry enough to be played on. So at this time, a court can be played on. This is about 6 hours later. So this is kind of how long it's taken us to get dry, and this is actually just one of the 6 courts we have. So hope you enjoyed watching, and hope this was a good video to explain and show you the process of how a HydroCourt dries on a winter day. Thank you.